Hey guys, let's walk around Deep South and see what's going on this morning. Isn't it beautiful? Hey, spring is here. My shrimp plant overwintered. It's gorgeous. It's looking beautiful. This is a Tangelo tree that we had years ago. It froze about 4 years ago. We transplanted what was left, and you can see, I don't know if it'll bloom, but it is actually growing like crazy. It was just a little sprig 4 years ago. My rosemary is blooming. The oregano is doing great. The pineapple sage is still blooming. The little strawberries all over the place here. And in the back, my wild violet is doing great. Overall, with all the rosemary, the shrimp plant and everything, it's looking pretty good in here. People have asked about my mini greenhouse. Where we have it out here, it's protected from the wind and stuff. The wind still hits it, but not as much as it would just out in an open spot. So the mini greenhouse is holding up really, really well with our warm climate. Got the doors and windows open. One day last week almost killed half my plants because it got too hot in there. We are getting up into the 70s, high 70s most days. And you can see my Greenstalk. Look at the tomato plant that I put in there. Isn't it awesome? And then we've got the kale growing. Now this lettuce, this right here, is trying to bolt. It got too hot and it's getting spindly. I can still eat it, but it is wanting to go up. It's not growing out like it should. It's growing up. All my seeds are starting to come up, and yes, I probably put way too many seeds in there, but they're coming up. This lettuce, we have been eating on this. It is awesome. This is that thin lettuce. It's almost like paper, and it is growing really, really well in here. You can see both my plants in the back, my flowers, did good. And up here, I have some carrots and some other things that I planted in there. Not sure what's going to come up, but some of this is greens and some of it's carrots. So I've got a variety I put in here, probably against what should be in there, but we're going to see what makes it. I have one moringa here that came up, the others did not. And one moringa back here that came up. I have a start of Malabar Spinach here that has been making it here in this little greenhouse all winter. So we're going to get this transplanted into something else. And so overall, the mini greenhouse and the Greenstalks are working well together right now. It's a beautiful little combination. Our front yard is all turning green. Our roses and stuff is starting to come out. So it's looking great. So is our daylilies. They're finally taking a hold in here and looking better. We've got daylilies and some what Danny calls swamp lilies. Amarillos coming out, I see here. Got the amaryllis, the daylilies, and what Danny calls swamp lily type things here. They're white, they're beautiful, should be doing really good before long. And it's just a beautiful way to see spring. Some of our azaleas, you can see some pink in the background. Our azaleas are starting to pop. Here at the front door, we've got these little flowers blooming. We've also had hyacinths blooming. The hyacinths have stopped now, but we have several varieties of flowers in both these beds that have been growing pretty well and producing for the last few weeks. This is our petunias that overwintered. They've bloomed off and on all winter, and they are looking awesome in this container that I have here. This one on this side had mums in it. And the mums are looking great too. This is one of the most beautiful sights every spring because this is the first tree or bush that actually blooms. This is our huckleberries. We transplanted these huckleberries on our sidewalk so I would not have to walk the woods later to have huckleberries. And last year this tree produced abundantly, and looks like this year it's going to do the same. We have one over there, and if you can see all down the sidewalk is huckleberries. And all of them are blooming, so I should have an abundance of huckleberries this year. And this azalea, it's been raining. You can see the water droplets on it and stuff. One of the small ones, but it is blooming like crazy. I mean, look at all the blooms on that one little plant. All the other azaleas are behind. They'll be blooming in the next 2 weeks. My lemongrass is starting to come out, as you can see across here. Then our walking onions. These are just onions and elephant garlic in the background. And yes, all these weeds in here will go to the chickens, but the onions are looking great. It's about time for us to start pulling the dirt away from them so they can start popping. We still have some of our collards, our garlic here, and garlic down there that we've cleaned and got ready. We've got some broccoli still at the back, some broccoli here that we're going to be cleaning up shortly, some of our cabbages, and look at these cabbages. Jen, you and Mike planted these. Aren't they awesome? Look at the size. It's about the size of one you would get in town right now because they've gotten really, really small, but these are bigger than softballs, about twice the size of a softball. And look at these down here. These are what are beautiful. You can't get any better than that. Nature just makes some of the most beautiful plants you've ever seen. So Jen, these are doing great. We've eaten some of the small ones down here, the 45-day variety that took 3 months. We finally got heads about the size of softballs. So we've been eating on it. The chard down at the end, we've been eating on it. And the broccoli. We've almost cleared the broccoli. It's got a little bit going on, but it's coming up this week. And this is our pride and joy, our English peas. Look at that. Every row, solid green all the way down for, I don't know, 4 or 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rows. Isn't that pretty cool? They're up a couple of inches tall. And this is going to be awesome because we need the English peas. And guys, this is what Deep South looks like early in the morning on a misty morning. The sky's beautiful in the background. And we're just going to walk around and see more of our Deep South awesomeness. The hugel bed, we've pretty much just let it go. We're going to let cover crops take over this year all the way from here, all the way back up to the house, and use it as a swale. We might even plant grass on it. We're not sure yet, but we're not going to try to garden it that much, except for on the further end where we already have asparagus and stuff like that. Okay, so our trees here are blooming. These are peaches. And we have, this one just has a couple of blooms on it, but this one is covered in blooms. So we're hoping for a few peaches on this tree this year. And then all down the bed, we have apricots, and one of those is blooming. And these are the apricots. This tree is just covered in blooms. This is the first time the apricot tree has bloomed. And this is our container garden. Right here you can see this first one, ants has taken over. We have about 5 or 6 of these that are full of ants that we're going to have to dump and start over or do something to kill ants. These are our compost. We flip these and use this dirt in other buckets. As you can see here, our green onions are doing awesome, and our spinach is doing really, really great in the containers. Also, we have a start of comfrey here. We dug this up last year. It was covering this whole bed, and we split it and moved it to different places, and you can see that it's got babies coming all in there. So we're going to be able to split this again this year. So this is our comfrey. This is my peppermint. I've got it growing in a container. It has been here and does really well in here. It's coming back out. It overwintered. And oh my goodness, it smells wonderful. The rest of these containers are beautiful and green. This is chicken food. I clean these containers out, take it to the chickens, and it grows back. So right now, we're growing chicken food. These containers right here, these two have radishes in them, and they seem to be coming on. Usually only takes about 30 to 45 days for radishes, so they've been in here a couple of weeks. And these last 3 containers are carrots. My carrots are up really, really good. We're going to see how container grown carrots work this year. We've got a weed, needs to come out, but you can see they're starting to put on their little fuzzies here, so that's pretty cool. And again, chicken food and a few greens that happen to pop up volunteer, and we always leave those because we can eat those in stir fries. All right, these are Danny's carrots. They're looking pretty awesome over here. And we're going to pull one. We're going to see what kind of carrots. We've been eating on these occasionally. And these are the Danvers half long. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful carrot. So, Danny does know how to grow carrots. I'm going to pull a couple more and we're going to have them for lunch. Couple of those in a salad or stir fry for lunch. It's going to be pretty great.
Okay guys, we're sitting here in our sugarcane patch in our backyard. The deer, it quit raining a few hours ago and the deer have already come up in the yard here. They walked all in our sugarcane here. They're up here eating this clover. I know what they're eating. You can see the tracks all in the dirt here. I don't think they actually eat the cane off. You can see there where they've walked all in the, they come all down through here. They're loving the clover. So
I haven't messed with the cane, doesn't look like it.
Haven't messed with the sugar cane.
Look at the clover all around. This is our field of clover, guys. Isn't that awesome? And then over here,
They haven't eaten the carrots off or anything.
our blackberries are blooming.
But they will eat the blackberries.
They haven't touched the blackberries yet that I see.
They will, though, eventually.
So far. Our mulberry tree has little berries all over it.
Oh yeah, it's got little mulberries on it. Yeah.
I mean,
this thing is loaded.
It always is loaded, and so mulberries is one of the first berries. That and huckleberries that I picked first.
What about our other trees?
These will be ready shortly. I guess these will be ready, what, a month?
Probably about a month, yeah.
About a month.
Right here, this is bloomed completely out.
Our blueberries on this side, the premiers, are starting to bud out. So we've got 40-something premiers, but look at the lapahas.
Lapahas have already bloomed out.
They've already bloomed. These are our early producers. And we only have about 9 of them.
Yeah.
But this one is loaded with blooms. Looking for some great blueberries. Our cabin hill is looking awesome. Got a peach tree here blooming. We're going to go see what the potatoes and the sugar cane look like on the cabin hill. This peach tree is in full bloom. It's going to be gorgeous when the cabin's built to look out here and see a peach tree first part of spring. Our dewberries are starting to bloom. These are the blackberry looking things that grow really close to the ground. They're called dewberries. The blackberries are vines that grow up tall on canes. These are the first producers. Blackberries come after the dewberries. We have the occasional potato coming up, but very, very few of them right now. You can see through there. It's still not big enough to see how many are up yet, but they are up. The sugar cane is starting to pop up again. Pretty good stand of it over here. A few weeds and stuff, but these will go away. These are the early weeds, and the cane will outgrow it. This is the asparagus that Amanda from Freedom Acres and I planted. Looks like a perfect stand of asparagus. I'm going to come back and rake the dirt down on both sides and give it a good foundation in the ground. And we won't touch this asparagus until next year. We'll let it just grow for at least a year. This is the back of the cabin. We have huckleberries. We've planted a few apple peach trees here, and this will be the cabin garden. And in the back, we're going to be planting all kinds of herbs and things in this area here. That's my goal, is to make this a food forest in this area. So guys, we're going to take a walk back to the house. I'm out in the woods right now, and it's gorgeous. Danny said I'm going to get wet. I pulled this last year. Do you think I'm going to get wet? Look at that sky. It's gorgeous, beautiful day out here. And in the 70s, it's hot, humid, sticky. But looking at nature and seeing the things that are coming out and all the blooms. I mean, we have blooms galore. It's just awesome. I love living in the South. Y'all can have your snow. I'm headed back to see what's growing around the house. I had to do this part before it rained. Maybe I won't get wet. Okay guys, it's starting to rain and I'm fixing to get wet. But this is the view coming back from the cabin. The blueberries, the cabin hill. I made it. It didn't rain on me. I got sprinkled on, but it slacked up. Let's go see what's in the backyard now. Here we have our former Back to Eden garden. We put the black row cover down back in the fall. It's still holding. You can see all the weeds along the sides, but so far the black row cover is holding. We're going to be putting some tomatoes and possibly some green beans, our rattlesnake beans, back here this year and see how well they do. And the carrots are doing great. They'll be harvested soon. Our strawberry beds need some work, but we've got clover everywhere. It is just beautiful and green. This is not grass, guys. This is clover and weeds. Chicken food. That's all I can say. Then we have our apple trees, our pecan trees. We have some mulberry trees down there, fig trees. Everything's blooming. Pears. Let's see if I can find a few blooms. This is my pomegranate, and it is starting to pop with leaves. Isn't that pretty awesome? It's finally growing. One day I do hope to have my own pomegranates growing here in South Mississippi. This tree is probably one of the most beautiful we have in our yard when it's in full bloom. It is a crabapple tree, a flowering crabapple. And it is just beginning to put out some blooms. In a week or so, this will be a beautiful pink color. And the giant mulberries that we have beside it. Look at the mulberries. It is loaded this year. Isn't that awesome? I'm talking lots and lots and lots of mulberries on this tree already. A little moisture of rain, little droplets. But look at the mulberries. Everywhere you look, mulberries. And this tree is tall. Plus, we have a second one right there. Looks like it's loaded with mulberries too. It looks like Grandpa's fig is slowly coming to life. There's a little bit of green on the tips. This is like a giant fig about the size of a golf ball or bigger. And we're looking forward to having more of these this year. The chard and the cabbage that Mike and Jen planted in this tripod here. The chard is doing awesome. We've been eating out of it, and the colors are just beautiful. Mike, I'm sorry, the cabbage did not grow to fill the triangle. It's still one of those little puny cabbages. But we will eat the cabbage shortly because it's way past the 45 days. These just did not do in 45 days like they should. But the chard is just keep on going. The pear trees are starting to put out buds, so we're going to have leaves on them. The ends of the fig tree there is popping. So all our pear trees are starting to turn green on the tips, which is great. The muscadines will be a while. I don't think they'll have any leaves on them for a few weeks, but look underneath it. That is mint. The mint is growing just awesome. And look what I found yesterday. This is my asparagus bed here. Our asparagus is starting to come out. I'm going to have some to eat in the next few days. There's one here, a tiny one here, and over there is a third one. Isn't that awesome? Asparagus. This is our back hill. We usually plant corn and peas in here. This year we just put ryegrass and we turned the cows in this year. So I don't know what we're going to do about corn and peas, but this is going to be a cow field. And when you come on around, you can see our neighbor's pond in the background. And mayhaws and plums. They're blooming, guys. These mayhaws have been here for about 4 years now, 5 maybe. And we got a few off of them last year, but looks like we're going to have a few more blooms this year. They're starting, but look at this one. Mayhaw blooms everywhere, and I hear bees. So the bees are pollinating. And these mayhaws, it's kind of like little apple blooms. They're similar. It's gorgeous. And we have little wildflowers all the time over the yard. And this is just one patch of wildflowers in our yard. And these are the plum trees in full bloom. I'm praying for some plums this year. As many blooms as we have and the bees are already out. Let's hope we have lots and lots of plums to make plum jelly this year. These containers here at the barn have had our peppers in them. These peppers have overwintered and they're starting to put on new growth, which is totally amazing to me. And so we're going to leave them, see how they do. The comfrey and some green onions here. The wind and water's kind of laid our onions over, but they're still looking pretty good. And our leaf lettuce. This is some more of that curly leaf lettuce. Real thin, excellent lettuce for salads and stuff. We have plenty of green stuff growing here. Okay guys, the greenhouse is a little right at 70 degrees in here today. The moringa is starting to come out, so I'm really excited about that. The pineapple is still living, and behind it we have some stevia that is growing in here. My aloe vera plants have done really well over winter in here. This yellow Marconi has done good. I'm getting ready to pick these because they've been on here a while. They should be ready so that we can have seeds. My Meyer Lemon has just had blooms galore. Still has blooms and it smells wonderful in here. So I'm not sure. We're getting ready to move this one out because it is getting hot in here. And you can see the leaves are starting to turn yellow. So we've got to get this one moved out within the next week. The pineapples seem to have flourished. And we have a sea of tomatoes. These are the yellow pear tomatoes. And there are tomatoes all in there. Only a few have turned, but we have lots and lots of tomatoes, just a sea of yellow pear tomatoes in here. All over the place, tomatoes. And by bringing dirt in some from outside, we have petunias. Petunias are growing really well. If you can see what's happening to my sweet potatoes, there's not going to be any sweet potato slips. The rats are coming in here, digging them up and eating them. So we've got to find another way to make sweet potato slips. Obviously, the greenhouse is not going to be it. And this is my patio tomato. They have done well. We've had a few to eat off of them. This one's never going to make it because it's little and it's done turn red. And this one is turning. So we will have tomatoes before long. These are Danny's tomato seeds and his pepper seeds. So some of them are coming up. The peppers are just starting to come up. The tomatoes have been up for a couple of days. And over here he has nothing planted yet. He's saving that for future stuff. So overall, the greenhouse has been great all winter. They may be small, but they are tomatoes. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little tour around Deep South Homestead today. I'll talk to you later.